Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm finally doing a reveal of my Chanel 22 bag. We are going to talk about this bag. I'm going to talk about how it's been going because I've already owned it for a little while now, and I'm going to give you my impressions of it, my opinion, and yeah, hopefully it's helpful if you guys are thinking about the Chanel 22 or if you're just at least curious about it. But before I get into today's video, if you are new to my channel and you love handbags, if you love fashion, if you love Chanel, then I would love if you would hit that subscribe button below, and also the bells could be notified when I upload new videos. I upload every weekend, and then I might occasionally slip in a midweek upload as well. So this bag has been featured on YouTube by quite a handful of people that have kind of shared some bad experiences with this bag, or there has been bloggers like, for example, Super Jacob, who's shared what happened with his Chanel 22 bag. I did not pay the retail price for this bag. I did not buy it directly from store. If you were to ask me, would I recommend this bag at its current price? I'm gonna say no, definitely not. And I think that, you know, I mean, each to their own, because not everybody had an issue with this bag. I think that the things that I have to say about this bag in terms of wear and tear are more to do with wear and tear. However, I also think that these kind of things shouldn't happen to a bag so early on. But I mean, we can bash Chanel and we can say that, you know, the quality's crap and all these sorts of things, but there are issues with all kind of design houses. Like, they all have some kind of like problems that happen, but it just so happens to be that this bag just has more of a reoccurring design flaw. Okay, so that out of the way, I think most of you already know about the Chanel 22 and the controversy, but for the sake of it, in case you didn't know, I'm going to link some videos down below. I think there was one by, was it Romina? And I know obviously Super Jacob did a video on it, so I'll link his down below. I feel like when it comes to like being a luxury YouTuber, if we can all kind of be at least helpful in some way with people watching our content, well, at least that's how I feel, then, you know, yeah, that makes me happy. So if I'm able to be helpful in my review, and those other reviews that I link down below, if they're helpful for you to make an informed decision, then that makes me happy, because luxury isn't cheap. It's not cheap, and I think we should, I think it's always best to kind of go in with your best foot forward and fully understand what you could kind of be dealing with. So this is the Chanel 22 in the small size. Like I said, thankfully enough, I didn't have to pay the retail price on it, but I am going to share with you the retail price. I think this is what's going to be shocking, is because once we kind of discuss some of the flaws that this bag has, but then also has some great aspects too. So, you know, just because I'm saying the word flaw doesn't mean I'm actually writing off this bag. That's not true. Back when this bag launched, the small size, now I've only got an old screenshot here in Australian pricing, it was 7,890 Australian dollars. Now the price has actually gone up, and I don't know at what point it went up, like which price increase it was, because I haven't really been following Chanel to a T anymore. But it has actually gone up, unfortunately, and to me I feel like it's a fairly big jump considering that there is probably still unaddressed design issues with this bag. And the now retail price in Australian dollars is 8,210. I'm going to include some other retail prices on the screen just down below there. You will see them. There are two other sizes, so there's small, medium and large. The medium size is 8,610 Australian dollars, and then the large is 9,330 Australian dollars. Now these are all the pricing for calfskin. This bag is in fact a calfskin bag. I don't believe the hardware matters all too much, because they do silver, they do gold, which is what this one is, and then they do one that's got white, and I think they might do something that's like maybe a metallic or something like that. And I'm not quite sure about the metallic if it has a price difference, but I know the silver and the gold has no price difference whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure when they did the white and the black letters, that didn't have a price difference as well. So this is a very, very expensive bag at just over $8,200 for the small size. I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think it's worth that price. I don't, because if any bag has some kind of design flaws to it, then it's not going to be worth that kind of price tag. Let's run through the design features of the bag, and we're going to go through all the cons first, and then I'm going to give you all the pros with the bag, like, you know, all the things that I kind of like about the bag. So as you know, it's calfskin. But something's weird about this kind of calfskin, because I have had Chanel calfskin handbags before, and they were really durable. They were really hard wearing. My iridescent calfskin mini was like spectacular. You could just feel that the coating on the leather had really kind of soaked into the leather, like it done a great job of adhering. But something about the calf skin on the Chanel 22 bag, something about it where it feels like the coating almost kind of just sits on top of the surface and doesn't really go into the leather, like it doesn't get a good adherence. And because of that, that's where you can kind of get that wear and tear that's been mostly discussed around this area here. So around here, people have said that the leather has kind of peeled away, like the coating, not the actual leather, but like the coating on top. So it didn't really matter what color. It seemed to be, it was more common with the metallic bags. Cooper Jacob didn't have a metallic bag. He had a rich, vibrant kind of fuchsia pink, like a berry tone, and it was kind of peeling around there. I had a look at my bag and it doesn't seem like I'm getting the peeling. I've owned this bag since just before Christmas, and I didn't want to do a dedicated reveal because I felt like that's not going to do any help for anyone, because this bag is controversial. So if I could share more of my opinion on my impressions with the bag, then that would be more helpful. So that's why I had withheld it. But I've been using this a lot, and I can see perhaps maybe the beginnings of it potentially happening. Like maybe a little bit just here. I kind of spotted it. You probably won't even see it, but I can kind of see how it's kind of got like a bit of a wear down. Like it seems to me like it, because of the pressure that the chain gets when it's like this and it does move around this chain, it's probably started to thin down that coating. So I think that eventually I will get some kind of peeling on the inside parts there. Not yet, it doesn't seem so, but I can kind of tell that it may happen. Knowing that that will happen, and knowing that it's because of this strap, the way it is. So this strap is a drawstring, right? So you do this to kind of pinch in the sides of the bag, that kind of thing. But even if you never do that, say you always leave the bag like this, which I actually always do leave it like that. What ends up happening when you put it on the shoulder, it naturally kind of starts to cinch in on its own, which is fair enough because you're going to have weight in the bag. But what it also does is just gradually just moves around. Like seriously, like I'll have this medallion here on this side, right? But you know, it wasn't on that side before. I actually had that medallion like only like about a month ago over here. So it's gradually started to just migrate all the way to here. Now it's over this side. But I literally had it I started off using this bag with that medallion on this side of the bag. Like, so it was in line with this. So when typically I carry my bag on my right side, so that way the medallion was hanging there. And I swear to you, it had been like that for most of the time. And now I've realized that, hang on, that's not where the medallion was when I first started this bag. So it's obvious that no matter what you do, even if you don't ever cinch in the bag, this strap is going to move around on its own. It's just going to rotate through the entire piping of the bag, and that is exactly why you're going to constantly get that rubbing, that friction happening, and that is why that wear and tear is going to be inevitable. For some people, they may have been unlucky where it happened from the get-go. It could be for many reasons that it happens for some sooner than what it does later. So instance, I could think of, you know, from a leather point of view, that if you are coloring a bag a different color like calf skin and it's going like a coat rather than like being absorbed in like a dye, if you haven't prepped the leather correctly, then that can affect the adherence of the paint. We're just going to use the word paint, all right? Even though it's not like literally like paint, like house paint. But yeah, like that can affect how it adheres to the bag, the color. So that could be a factor that they didn't prep the leather correctly, because I mean, who knows if they're all running from the same sheet of leather. I'm not quite sure of how the Chanel process is, if they prep the leather before they cut it to size and then pass it out on the assembly line. I don't know how they literally make their handbags, but I know that prep really matters as to how a color is going to turn out on the leather, how it's going to adhere, how it's going to stick. That really matters. So it could be that. It could be that they put too much paint on, and that's why it hasn't been able to adhere well, and that's what causes the flaking when that friction and rubbing happens. Or it could even be that they didn't put enough. So when they don't put enough and all that rubbing and friction happens and it wears down, and that's how you get the flaking. That also comes down to craftsmanship as well, and the design, because if Chanel hasn't nutted that out and specifically said we need X microns of paint to be applied to this spot because XYZ could happen, or we need this leather prepped exactly X way so the paint, the color will adhere correctly. Like if Chanel had done those kind of aspects in their testing elements when they did the design of this bag, then these sort of things actually could have been mitigated and they would be far fewer, because there's been a lot of people that have been saying that they've had issues with the Chanel 22 bag. Like it's not just a case of a few people, like there's been a decent chunk of people. So that's a sign that perhaps Chanel, when they did their designing of the bag, it didn't run it through enough tests. So I can't even blame, you can't blame the craftsmanship in that situation, because they're usually just the ones that are going off the scope of what the bag is supposed to be. There's a whole nother process where someone would be designing the bag, they go through tests, and there'd be an expert's opinion. And essentially you just have people that are skilled in crafting and making bags, putting them together, doing the end process based on what the specifications and the scope is. So I think that we're sometimes a little bit hard as well on craftsmen like that work for Chanel and Louis Vuitton, and we're a bit hard on them in that way, when we kind of need to look at it from a bigger picture, that the scope and the design of the bag actually comes from the brand, the house. Like these are just people that are employed that know how to work with leather. That's what they are, you know, and they are skilled in what they do, but they're only just also following the scope majority of the time. So I think it's fair to cut them a bit of slack as well. I had someone in the comments as well tell me, and this is just going on a bit of a tangent, but I just thought I'd let you know, that I had someone tell me that they worked for Louis Vuitton in making bags, and they said that there was so much pressure on them to make, and this is alleged, to make X amount of bags, and that's why sometimes the production was rushed and maybe they weren't doing the best that they could with the bags in terms of their craftsmanship skill, because they had the pressure on them to make X amount of bags per day. So I mean, if there's a high pressure stake up there and a high KPI to make a lot of bags, like let's just throw a number to the wind, this is just, you know, hypothetically, let's say you have to make 100 bags a day. Let's say, you know, 100 bags a day, and they can only spend, say, I don't know, 10 minutes per bag. This is all like not literally being calculated. And that's gonna affect the craftsmanship. Whereas say like if they were able to take their time, maybe that bag would take them a whole day to make, you know? So yeah, that's just painting of a bit of a picture there. So it's obvious that there is a design issue with this bag. There does tend to be corner wear as well. So I do have corner wear on my bag. And like I said, it has been used a handful of times, but it's only, let's just say it's been used 20 times, all right? I have bags that have been used more than 20 times that don't have any corner wear. So let's have a look at this. If you look here, see how that's gray just there? That's my corner wear. So it kind of looks like it's just like peeling away. And then on the other side, it's the same dealio. Again, you can see that lighter gray just on the corner there, and that's the corner wear, and it's like the coating is kind of just peeling away. This is the opposite side of the bag. Now this doesn't have very obvious corner wear, but I can see a little bit starting to happen there. And then the opposite corner kind of seems like maybe there's a little bit starting to happen, but obviously from general wear and tear and general usage. But like I said, I have handbags that I've used more than 20 times, and I think I've only used this 20 times because I've owned it just before Christmas, and I'm filming this video in late January. So yeah, and I have a lot of bags to rotate, so you know that this is not something I'm using every day. But yeah, to me, I think that kind of wear and tear, it goes to show that there is a design kind of issue with the bag. I also did see that I seen this on Redbook actually, which is the Chinese social media app, and I seen that someone's letter had come up. So that's pretty worrying. It's pretty disturbing, you know, especially like I said with the price point. You would expect for like that kind of price point that they've really done some rigorous testing with the production of the bag and made sure that they've kind of, you know, mitigated the chance of design issues occurring. But it seems as though with this bag that they didn't. Now this, I'm assuming that this bag is from the early release, so I don't know for sure as to whether the newer Chanel 22 bags after the price increase are actually made better. Maybe they've rectified the issues, maybe they've listened to people and made sure that those issues aren't going to happen, you know, with the drawstring area. I do also know someone said had sent information, I think, to Super Jacob that the coating on the straps, on the leather straps, had actually started to rub onto their shoulder. So I'd like to hope that these kind of issues have been nutted out and that the new price reflects that they've actually stops that from occurring, but I don't know. So please tell me, if you have a new Chanel 22 bag, how is it going? Is it held up good for you? Or do you know anyone who's had a newer release Chanel 22 bag in the past, say like 3 to 6 months, if theirs is holding up better? Now there's actually like a tab that you can get, and if I find it, I'll link it down below. Something that you can put inside that's kind of fits perfectly in here to help stop that rubbing on the edge there. That is about it for the cons, in my opinion. So it's pretty much just a basis of, these are things that it could be a design element issue, and you might encounter them with your bag, you may not, because it's not been everyone. But I'm going to talk to you about the overall bag and why I actually really like it, even though there are those design issues. So one of the big things that I love about this bag is that even though this is the small size, it actually does fit a lot. And I'm really liking bigger bags at the moment, because I'm really liking the fact that I can just chuck everything in and not have to play Tetris with my handbags. In terms of its size, this is definitely by far the lightest leather handbag I have ever owned of this size. Obviously I've owned lighter leather handbags, but they're smaller, but of this size, this has definitely got to be the lightest one. So that's a big thing for me, is that it's light, but it also carries a lot, which can be a hard thing to achieve for a leather bag. Usually it's only like Louis Vuitton canvas that's very lightweight that can carry a lot, like, you know, for example, the Neverfull. But I'm just not really a Neverfull fan. I like that you can wear this bag a multitude of ways. So obviously you got the classic on the shoulder, but then you've also got it where you can wear it like this, where you fold it over kind of like a clutch. You can do it backwards, you can do it forwards, whatever. Mine's actually got a crease on it because the previous owner had been doing that, I assume. So it's got a bit of a crease running along there, because like I said, I did buy it pre-loved. So that was one of the things that that was already like that from the get-go for me. I love that they do it in a lot of colors as well, because it's a classic bag. They're doing it in like, every time they're doing a color, they'll do it in the Chanel 22. They also have like fabric versions, tweed versions. So I think having that variety is also fun too, because it can cater for everybody's styles. Whereas like the classic flap handbag, you may not, it's kind of less common that it'll be in all different sorts of fabrics and colors and those sorts of things. It is internally a fabric lined bag, so that is exactly why it is super duper lightweight, because it's fabric lined rather than leather lined. So I mean, that to me also would say that that's a cheaper to make bag, because it is fabric lined, though I don't know for sure 100%, but I would assume so, that if you're not making a full leather bag, then it would be, you know, cheaper, because they're using fabric. It's got a zip pocket inside, which I've got lollies inside, of course. So that's pretty convenient. But one of the big things that I loved about it was that it actually come with its own little pouch. So it has this little doobie thing here with the clip on it, and it's actually fully attached to the bag. So it's attached to the inside of the bag, which comes with it, completely attached, all a part of the package when you buy the Chanel 22 bag. So I've already got my stuff inside. It's completely full and jam-packed. But that's what I thought was cool, that I was like, okay, well, it actually comes with an extra pouch that, you know, if you're running errands or you just need to grab and go something, then you could essentially just use this as like a little clutch sort of thing, like a big massive O case. So I thought that was a nice kind of touch. It gave me like a bit of a vibe of how like the Neverfull has their own pouch. So I use it as like a catch-all mainly. I don't just use it in my Chanel 22 bag. I'll use it in my Birkin, I'll use it in my Prada bag, I'll use it in any bag that it'll fit, but it is like a fairly big size, so it's kind of just limited to like those medium to bigger size sort of handbags. It does have these buttons on the side as well, so you can undo the both of them, or have one done and one not done, and you can carry it like that, I suppose, if that's what you wanted, or you can have them undone, so that way you can just like carry your bag on the shoulder like this and just have it like flopping open sort of thing. That's another thing that they design with this bag, is that you don't necessarily have to just put, like, you don't have to put both straps on the shoulder. You can just have one sort of flopping down. I don't think I would have it like that though. I feel like that's just way too much openness happening. If I were to do that, which I do this most of the time, as long as my clasps haven't come undone. A lot of the time, if I'm in a hurry, I'll just leave it like that but my clasp, like my little button things on the side, are actually done up. The other thing is it does have like a button thing at the top here where you can close it like that, so it's not totally open. It does make it a little bit more sort of secure. So these kind of like just design things I actually like about the bag. I like that it's very lightweight. I like that there are other ways you can wear it. I like that it can kind of be styled depending upon your mood, that kind of thing. I like that it has a very edgy sort of vibe to it. I like the colors of the hardware that they offer on the bag. I like the pouch. Yeah, there's actually really a lot that I like about this bag. And because there is so much that I like about the bag, it completely and totally outweighs some of those like potential design elements that you could face with the bag, or like the wear and tear issues that I've already faced with the bag. To me, it kind of overrides it because I just love the bag so much. Like there's just so much to the wearability of the bag that I absolutely love. If maybe I had got a bad bag that was like, you know, started to wear and tear from the first use, then maybe I would have a different point of view. Or if I had paid the full retail of over $8,000, maybe I would have a different point of view. So I think the biggest thing that I would suggest that you can take from this is that if you can go the pre-loved route for it, where it's maybe already got those wear and tear elements, I feel like that kind of, you know, cuts it out of the picture of you potentially buying a bag brand new where you get those issues, you know. And from what I had seen with Chanel, with people that, like, from those videos that I watched, people that took their bags back, I think it was Romina that wasn't allowed to get like a refund or anything like that because they said it was a wear and tear element, that, you know, it was the design of the bag that to do with how she was using it or something like that. And to me, I was like, what? But I know with Super Jacob, he was able to take his back immediately from one use and his sales associate looked after him. But that just goes to show the inconsistency with Chanel, that they are not completely willing to back their products across all their stores. Like it's so iffy, and like it's pretty much it's a turn off for me. I feel like that's horrible. I feel like for a luxury brand that wants to put themselves on a pedestal with Hermes, they really need to sort their shit out. Whereas I feel like Dior and Hermes really have their service standards in terms of after sale service. I feel like they have their service standards quite clear and transparent. Like I know with Dior, if that was something that was to happen, chances are they probably aren't going to push you back. And the same as Hermes, the chances are they're actually going to try and fix it for you and rectify the bag at no cost and that kind of thing. That's kind of how both those business models kind of operate. Like I said, there was also 3 sizes of this bag. I have tried on the medium size, and I'll put a picture on the screen, and I actually think the medium size is a great size as well, but it's going to look like a much bigger bag. And in the beginning when I tried that on, I felt like, oh, that's a bit too big. But now that like big bags are coming back, I feel like that size actually can work, and I would actually really like to get that size of bag. I actually really love this bag enough that I would like to get more, but my requirement is that I don't want to pay that full retail price. I don't want to be paying over $8,000. And I would rather take a bag that's got some wear and tear element to it at a very good saving, which I've already seen many places pre-loved. Yeah, I'd just rather take that, because then I kind of feel like, well, at least it saves me like maybe a couple $1,000 or $1,000 on something that may be inevitable. So if I do find any Chanel 22 bags under the retail price, I'm going to link them down below in the description bar, because I actually really think it's a great bag, and I think I've said that enough now, but I really truly mean it. I think it's a really great bag. But I think that is about it. There is also a backpack version as well. That's kind of cool. I mean, I think that could work as a bag. I think that could be something that I could find some good use from in my, for my bag collection. But then I don't typically use I don't think I would use a backpack for like just errands and that sort of thing. It would be the kind of thing I'd want to use if I was like, say, going to a theme park that day or something like that. Please feel free to leave your comments down below if you own this bag, or do you know someone who owns this bag, or, you know, have you bought one more recently and it doesn't have any problems. You know, I'd love to know your thoughts, because I'm actually very curious to know as to whether Chanel has fixed those kind of issues. Yeah, I'd be really keen to know. But yeah, that is it. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one.